On today's podcast, I had Lance Spencer from Anchor Loans. Lance is a hard money lender who's been doing it for over 10 years. And in fact, he's originated over $2 billion worth of loans. Personally, right now, he's lending me tens of millions of dollars, and we've had a great relationship over the years. And I wanted to bring him on to talk about what behind the scenes of hard money lending looks like. It's a really interesting thing of how they go about getting their money, how they leverage their own money, and why they charge the rates that they charge. It's really good to see it behind the scenes. On top of that, we talk about different deals that he's done as a flipper, how he started out buying and competing against the hedge funds. We talk about what it was like for his company to get acquired. And we also go in depth on what the future holds and what he thinks is happening with the economy and house flipping. So with all that being said, let's jump into the episode. Are you looking to grow your real estate investing business? My company, Future Flipper, can help. We've taught hundreds of people all over the country how to flip, wholesale, and buy rental properties. And it doesn't matter where you're at in your investing journey. Whether you're trying to get your first deal or scale your company, Future Flipper can help. We have courses, coaching, and events for all levels of investors. So if you want to take the next step, go to futureflipper.com and book a free consultation to see how we can best help you. Once again, that's futureflipper.com. If you've ever wanted to invest with me on my real estate deals, it's now possible. At Pineda Capital, we're purchasing value-add real estate all across the country. This includes multifamily, commercial, and land development. The best part is, with my network, social media presence, and marketing strategies, we're able to get the very best deals that others don't have access to. You can join in with me on those deals if you're an accredited investor. If you want to learn more, head over to pinedacapital.com to see our current opportunities. Once again, that's pinedacapital.com. Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest.
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
Innovate.
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
And inspire. I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You're now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. Today, I've got somebody that I've never had on the show before. This man is a hard money lender. And many of you who've watched my YouTube and TikToks have seen me talk about hard money lenders. But today, we're going to go from their perspective of what they look for in buyers, how their business actually works, and why they charge the crazy interest rates that they charge. And it will make much more sense to you as you go on. And I'll tell you, for me, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without good hard money lenders. And right now, these guys probably have the majority of our loans out right now. I mean, how much you guys got?
It's between 10 and 20 million. It's something like that. I'd have to look at it.
Yeah, these guys have loaned us $10 to $20 million, so it's pretty good. So with all that being said, I've got Lance Spencer on the podcast. He's with Anchor Loans. I've been working with Lance for a couple of years now. What's up, dude?
What's going on?
Yeah, man. We got a lot of debt with you guys, dude.
Yep. I mean, you guys probably top 10% of our borrowers.
Yeah.
With debt, yeah.
That's good. So I'm going to give people a brief rundown, and I'll let you tell them how you got to where you're at. But it's funny. I met Lance because he would not stop cold calling me. Like, this guy was texting me. He was cold calling me. I just ignored him all the time.
Yep. Get ignored a lot.
I get ignored a lot. That's cold calling. And then I don't even know what happened, but I think we met at Collective Genius for the first time. And I'm like, you're the dude who just doesn't stop annoying me. And then we started doing business together. Perseverance.
I will tell you, I think we were doing our first deal your first time going to Collective Genius.
Yeah.
So I think it was both of our first times at Collective Genius.
It was. I remember that.
And it was just like, yeah, we're literally just starting to work together.
Yep.
And it's not about, cold calling. And I don't ever think of it as cold calling. Because I'm not cold calling you. I know what you do. I know you use lending, and I know I can help you.
Right.
And I'm never calling, and I always tell when I've trained all my originators, I'm never calling Mr. Pineda.
Right.
Because Mr. Pineda is never going to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm calling Ryan. I want to talk to Ryan. I want to know what's going on with Ryan. I want to know all of that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, making it personal. And
yeah.
I'll tell you too, we'll talk about this later on, but as we've grown, and we see each other at Collective Genius and all this stuff, like, you do these things that in the end generate a lot of business, but don't cost you much. you know?
Yeah. I hate selling.
Yeah.
I really do. I hate it. So even at Collective Genius, when all of my borrowers at Collective Genius say, it's like, why aren't you selling? It's like, because that's not why I'm here. I'm here to take care of you guys. I'm here to treat you guys and do all that stuff. And really what happens is, you know, I go out to dinner and spend $5,000-$6,000 on a dinner for, you weren't there. It was like 40 people last time.
Okay.
But what happens is they sell for me.
Yeah.
So they're the guys telling how awesome I am or they need it and stuff like that. And I greatly appreciate that, but I'm not there to sell.
Yeah.
I'm there to learn just like everybody else. I enjoy it. I learn just as much. I use it even in the lending stuff. And it's not, to me, it's not for me to go to sell. It's for me to take care of people.
Yeah. And that's the big thing is I've seen with your business is, you know, you go to these places where, you know, there are people that need your service, right? You're not selling. You're just kind of hanging out, having fun. Everyone there knows you. They know what you do. And you treat people, right? People who aren't even your clients. You're like, hey, come out to dinner. Like, let's hang out. And it's cool, man. And in turn, that makes people want to work with you more. And it's a very small price to pay for the amount of exposure you can get potentially.
It pays itself with 1 or 2 loans.
Yep.
Right. But again, I really enjoy it too.
Oh, believe me.
Yeah.
I know you enjoy it. I've seen it. I've seen the bottles of wine, Anchor, dude. I've seen it. But hey, his results don't lie.
I do. And what happens is they don't lend. Nobody's borrowing from Anchor. My borrowers don't borrow from Anchor.
Right.
They borrow from me.
Yeah.
And to be successful in what I do, I build relationships. I enjoy it. You know, working with Sean Bob and yourself and stuff like that. It's just like, I would think the majority of my borrowers borrow from Lance Spencer at Anchor Loans.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what makes me so successful.
Yeah, 100%. So, you know, let's talk about how you got into this game, man. Tell us about who Lance Spencer is.
So I've always been in construction and real estate. My dad, you know, still to this day, buys lands and put manufactured homes on and sells them. So I used to, in the high desert of California, I used to dig ditches, rocks. I hated it. So, and I was going to college at the time. So then I went to college, got my degree in construction management.
Okay.
At the time, most degrees in construction management were all commercial. And I never wanted to be in commercial. I don't like commercial. It's not really my thing. I love houses. I've always wanted to do like a tract development, flip houses, stuff like that. So the opportunity came pretty much a month before I graduated, where Anchor Loans came and started interviewing. And at the time when they're interviewing, me being myself, is I knew everybody at that school. I knew every general contractor that invested in the company. I knew all the CEOs of the companies because I was so invested in myself and building like that. So we have like golf tournaments that I'd call the CEOs, get them to donate, do all the raffles for our college program. So a little arrogant, but I probably could have worked anywhere I wanted.
Right.
But I didn't want the commercial. So the opportunity came where Anchor Loans, this was 2009, started buying at trustee sale. So they needed a project manager to run their flips. So I started Anchor in 2009 managing the trustee sale purchases that we were buying. And we went from 1 deal to 6 deals, like 1 deal to 6 deals in a month, from 6 deals to like 40 deals in 3 months. So after we had 40 deals, I failed miserably.
Well, yeah, to scale that quickly,
Failed.
like you're not built for that.
No, nobody's built for that.
Right.
So I'd go to 10 jobs and I'd have 2 guys at maybe half the jobs I'd go to and nobody at the other half.
Right.
And it took 6 months, but after 6 months, we were doing 60 to 100 deals at a time.
Wow.
So between 2009 and 2011, we probably did 500 to 1,000 houses.
And you were flipping.
We were flipping them all.
And where was this?
This is at Anchor Loans.
No, I know, but like what market?
All Los Angeles. So
Okay.
we're buying Los Angeles. We were doing the trustee sales, buying on the market, building relationships with a bunch of agents, doing all that. And so even though we were still Anchor Loans and we were still lending money at the time,
Right.
we were in between 2009 and 2011, we were definitely more profitable flipping houses than we were lending. So we didn't excel on lending until after that. And so actually what excelled us is in 2011, all the hedge funds started coming in and buying all the properties.
Mm-hmm.
So then they were paying 90, 95 cents on the dollar. So you went from, getting 18% returns on your money at trust detail to getting like 5 or 6. So they actually started having me try to still buy properties. So I stopped a year and a half into it. I stopped in the construction side and I started working the acquisition side. So I went to acquisitions. I started buying the flips. I started doing all that stuff and then running that side of it. And then from there, I kind of took over the loan side too as well. So I was helping, originate loans. I was helping process the loans, getting them approved, understanding what loans we should do and not do, evaluating the properties, doing all that stuff. And then I kind of took over that department. And then eventually I just started calling people like yourself and then have them come here. And that was when rates were a little higher than they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did not know that. That's pretty cool that, you played the whole trustee sale game
Absolutely.
and, flipped these houses and did it. And what was, I guess, Anchor's plan originally? Like they had just raised all this capital and they're like, let's put it to work. And so we'll flip.
So the original no. So the original partners, so the company's 23 or 4 years old.
Okay.
Right. And so the original partners were all poker players, all of them.
Oh,
So
right here in Vegas, probably.
Dan Harrington.
Okay. I've heard of him.
Yep. Action Dan. He was a partner with, Jeff Lipton at the time, which was the majority owner of the company. He brought him in as capital. And then he obviously had a few poker friends
Yeah.
that came in. And, before the crash of 2007, they were lending money out 13%, 3 points, and everybody was loving it. Crash happened. Anchor broke even during the crash. And then when it came back, they saw a great opportunity to buy at sell. And so we started buying at sales and still lending, but very minimal lending because we were still dealing with the crash. So there's still certain properties, certain loans that we had to deal with, but we started buying a lot more properties and doing that instead of the lending.
You're telling me a bunch of poker players started this?
Yes.
Wow. I would have never known that.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys obviously are in the business of making money anyway, anyhow. And they see this opportunity with lending and with flipping, and they're just like, let's go hire people to do it for us.
Well, they were very hands-on.
They were hands-on too?
Absolutely. Well, not Dan Harrington. Dan Harrington was more of a face than anything.
Okay.
But Jeff Lipton was the CEO, the original CEO of the company, was in the day-to-day operations probably up until 7 years ago.
Okay.
He was day-to-day until we sold 40% of our company, which I think was 7 or 8 years ago, to Wafra Capital.
Okay.
And so once he did that, Steve Pollock became the CEO. And at that point, I was in originations, kind of helping run the originations and the processing and all that stuff.
Okay. So you go through this phase because the hedge funds are just overpaying. You can't make money flipping the way that you were used to. I saw that play out in my career too.
Especially out here.
Yeah. No, I got started in 2010 and I saw everyone buying at the trustees, making a killing. And then I saw the hedge funds come in. Everyone's like, these guys are overpaying. And then in reality, they weren't. They friggin' made out like bandits.
They actually, I think they saved the market. There was right in 2010, there was a market where it was flat for 6 months and nothing was selling. And then the hedge funds came in, and I think when they started overpaying, I think they saved the market from crashing.
Yeah.
In 2010.
I believe it. And then it just kept continuing, really forever. Like it's just the last 10 years, they've just been buying and buying. And, most places, if you go to the auction, you're not going to get a great deal. The hedge funds are going to pay 100% for it. They don't care.
Yeah.
So what was it like, I guess from 2015 onward? How did that play out for you guys?
So 2015 is now I'm fully originating. I'm helping originate. I'm help processing, and we were growing dramatically. So I think, what was that? So was it 2015? Let me think about this for a second.
The reason I put that arbitrary date is that was when I started flipping.
Yeah. So, but that's not necessarily an arbitrary date because I think that's either a year or two before or after we got acquired the first time.
Okay.
So what happened is we got acquired, 40% of our company got acquired by Wafra, and it pretty much opened a lot more opportunities for us. So now we're able to go to banks, get lines of credit, leverage our capital. So now we can be a lot more competitive and still kind of make as much money or as more money as we can, because we can lend out 2 or 3 times more money and we don't have to worry about where the money's coming from now.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a huge, huge impact for us.
Right. So let's talk about this concept real quick. How hard money really works, right? Because to a normal borrower, they think, oh, Anchor Loans just has, friggin', I don't know,
Billions of dollars just sitting around.
Yeah, they just got this $1 billion just stashed, just waiting to lend, right? How does it actually work behind the scenes?
So I think there's a big misconception too, is, hard money lenders make a lot of money. They gouge people and they do all this other stuff. But if you really think about it, we're not a bank. We're not lending to Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. We're lending to people. We're lending people money to take crappy houses, fix them up, and sell them.
Right.
And even let's put it at 12%, right? Which at this point, nobody's really paying 12% interest.
Right.
So if we go 12% and we're doing a $100,000 loan, you're paying me $1,000 a month.
Right.
Right. But if you're making $20,000 in 6 months, you're paying me $6,000 to make $20,000.
Right.
It's really not that big of a deal. It's not you're not living at the house. You're not paying way over interest. It's not your mortgage. You're doing this to make money.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, that part of it is actually not that expensive. Now, based on what you said, is how does it work? Our money's not free. Nobody's money's free. So if somebody's giving you, if I'm charging you 8%, Ryan, I'm not making 8% on your money.
Right.
And a lot of people think that. I'm not. I have our capital that we are required. Let's put it how before we sold. So we had our capital, and our capital we charge 9.5% on. So if I'm charging you 8%, I get charged 9.5% of money. I'm losing money day one, period.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's no other way around it. I'm losing day one, and that happened. So now what I'm doing is I'm going out to big banks. Let's just call it, JP Morgan or Wells, and they're going to give me a credit line. So they'll give me a credit line for $100 million. So that credit line is around 3.5%.
Mm-hmm.
And that covers, let's call it 80% of the loan.
Yep.
So 80% I'm getting 3.5%, and now 20% I'm getting 9.5%.
Yeah.
So when you blend that together, that's how I can make money at 8% for you.
Yeah, your blend is, 5%.
Exactly.
Yep.
But in order to get that blend, there's steps. So the reason why, and I think, my competitors are the same way. It's like, we always say, it's just like, I don't need an appraisal to close a loan, but I need appraisal to.
You need it to sell the loan.
I need the
and
appraisal
to get the credit line.
Exactly. Because all my credit lines, even if I'm going to sell the loan, whatever I'm going to do with the loan, I have to have some kind of document from a third party, because why would they ever trust my value?
Yeah. Right.
Right. So it has to be a third party document stating what they think the value of that property is.
Right.
And then we take that, and then we can use our other funds to make money on that deal.
Right.
So if that appraisal takes 30 days to get in, I'm losing money for 30 days on that loan.
Right.
So the faster we get that in, the better it is off us, and that's how we started making money that way.
So let's think through this. How much money do you guys have out right now, would you say?
I would say, again, I'll do this in 2 different ways. Last year alone, we did $1.7 billion in hard money. At any given time, I think we have anywhere from $1 billion to $1.2 billion outstanding.
Just it's out there
It's
waiting.
out there,
Yeah.
whether it's ours or leverage or however it works.
Right.
That's what we have out there.
And how much of that $1.7 billion did you personally originate?
So I am usually around 50%. So I think last year I did around, it was high sevens or around $800 million in volume.
How much have you originated in your career?
Shoot.
Like how many billions?
I think I'm at 2.
2
right
billion.
now. I'm at $2 billion.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So first off, congrats. That's
It
amazing.
might be 3 too. It might be 3. I
It's
haven't
2,
checked in a
3
while.
billion. I
haven't
can't
checked in
remember
a
how many
while.
billions it's been. Just rolling in your money. So, thinking back to how it all works, because I'm fascinated by this. I love learning about the banking system and how other businesses make money, and maybe there'll be Ryan lending one day. Who knows, right? So basically what you're doing is you're taking Anchor's original $100 million that they have as their own capital that they've raised, and that money costs you 9.5%. This would be private lenders, whoever else, right? And then you're going and utilizing that to go get a loan $900 million worth of credit lines from these existing banks. Is that right?
Yeah, right. So if it's 20%, so 100 million is probably going to get you 500 million.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you're basically doing what we do as a flipper. Is no different, right?
It's no different. The thing is we are the minority doing this when
Right.
we were doing it. Most lending companies do not do that.
They raise all the money.
No, they don't raise any of the money.
Oh,
So they'll have $20 to $50 million, and every second, and they're going to be more like wholesalers. So instead of flippers, they're the wholesalers. So they take the loan down and they sell that loan immediately to redo their cash and all that stuff. So I'm going to say the majority of the big companies, well, it
are you
used to
talking
be-
hard money or
I'm
just
talking hard money loans.
okay? Okay.
So before the, when Goldman Sachs bought Genesis Capital and stuff like that, I'm going to say 90% of the hard money lending companies sold their loans.
Okay.
Yes.
And so when they sell the loan, basically they're just saying, "Hey, whoever wants to buy this, buy it." How would that work?
So I'm going to go to Ryan Pineda Bank, and I'm going to give you $100 million in loans.
Okay.
Right? And they're all, let's call it an 8% coupon. Now you could pay 6.5% for that coupon.
Who's paying 6.5%?
Ryan Pineda Bank.
Okay.
So you're giving me 6.5, even though it's 8. So I'm getting 1.5, and you're getting the rest. So you're paying me 1.5 every month on that money, or however it works, and then I get the points, and then I'm done with it.
Right.
You take all the risk.
You guys are just a middleman wholesaler, like you
Yes.
said.
And I don't believe that majority of the lenders, and I could be wrong on this side, even service their own loans too, which also creates a lot of problems.
So why would you guys do it the way you're doing it, which is kind of like a flipper, whereas everyone else is just wholesaling?
I think it creates a lot better customer service. And obviously, if you do it this way, there's potential to have more profit too as well.
Because you can leverage now.
We can leverage, we can get cheaper funds, we track record of doing this. But my main reason why I think it's better is we're still in control. I'm still calling you about your loan.
Yeah.
If you need extension, guess what? I don't have to call somebody else that I sold your loan to. I can just give you an extension.
Yeah.
If something happened or you need help, and that's what we were known for doing. It's like, I'm going to
You're flexible.
We're very flexible, and we want to make it work. Again, we flipped houses, right? We know stuff happens.
Right. So, and also too, and I've seen it in my own career with you guys, is like, yo, if there are times where I'm like, Lance, this needs to close next week. Like, I don't know how you're going to do it, but we're going to lose the deal if we don't close it next week. And you guys always have closed it, right? And some lenders aren't able to do that for the reason you mentioned.
Exactly.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's even with the paperwork, and I have a track record with you too.
Right.
And my borrowers that I do that's why they keep coming back. Because if they say it's like, hey, and I wish it was a week, sometimes it's 24 hours. I've closed loans in 24 hours before.
Right.
Those aren't my favorite, the greens, but but we still do it, and we do it because it's what's required and it's what we should be doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, on the hard money lending side, you're either doing what you talked about with your guys' business model, or you're essentially just wholesaling money, and that's fine. How is this different than what the normal banks do? If you go and get a loan on your primary residence at Wells Fargo and you go get 3%, how are they making money?
Well, they're getting free money for one, right? So, I mean, obviously they're making a lot of money. They probably make more money on 3% than I do at an 8%.
Yeah.
I guess.
Probably.
Yeah, because, I mean, this is also why Wells Fargo is giving us 3.5% money. But
because they get it at 0. They give it to you for 3.
It's close enough to 0, right? It's
right.
Whatever it is, but it's practically free money from the government, and then they go out and they deploy it. But that's that aspect of it. How for borrowers or for people that are flipping houses, how is it different? Is no bank's going to close your loan in a week.
Right.
And on top of that, if you are flipping houses, majority of your flips should not be bank financeable.
Right. They're in crappy condition.
They're in crappy shape. And if it's not move-in ready, your bank's not going to do it. And especially in this marketplace today, nobody is going to take a loan contingent offer on any of their houses when they're getting, 5 to 10 offers on a property that's underpriced in the area.
Right.
So with us, you can write it as cash if you have to.
Yep.
We can close. We can send you letter of credits. There's a bunch of different things that we can do to make it easier to close than a bank.
Have you ever wanted to invest in real estate, but you didn't have the time to find deals yourself? That's where Fundrise comes in. Fundrise is a crowdfunding platform that has transacted over $5 billion in real estate and has over 150,000 active investors. While many funds, like my own, require accredited investors, Fundrise allows anyone to invest with as little as $500. If you'd like to learn more, check out fundrise.com. Once again, that's fundrise.com. Are you looking to find off-market real estate deals? One of the best tools my team uses is Batch Leads. With Batch Leads, you're able to pull data, manage lists, and send text messages. On top of that, you can get nationwide access to the MLS to get pictures and comps. My team has used Batch Leads to get some of our best deals, so I know it works. You want to start today? You can get half off your first month by going to batchleads.io and using the promo code Ryan. Once again, that's batchleads.io, promo code Ryan for half off your first month. Now, back to the show. Right. Well, I guess I'm talking from the bank's perspective on how they make money. Because, like, if I go in to a normal broker who's not hard money, and, you know, they go get me this loan for 3%, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen a lot of them don't even have points. Like, they just charge a flat fee. They're like, hey, it's $1,700, right?
They're getting money from the bank.
Right. Because they're going to sell the loan.
They'll sell the loan to Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
And they'll probably get, which is why, and if you've ever done that with a broker, which is why they say you can't refinance or do anything for
after 6 months.
After 6 months, because there's nothing saying you can't do that for 6 months. It just that broker
they would lose their commission.
That broker would have to pay back their commission in 6 months.
Right.
So they're giving, let's say they write it. I mean, I think like FHA loans are their favorites.
Yeah, they make more
because they make 2 or 3 times more on an FHA loan than a conventional loan.
Yep.
So they're buying it and they buy it at points, I believe. So if you're selling a $100,000 loan on a conventional loan, they're probably making $1,500 from the bank.
Right.
Plus your fees and all that other stuff. So they're making that on top of it. So they have relationships with banks. So brokers with banks are a lot different with brokers with hard money too.
Right.
Because I believe they can get better rates and better terms with banks and they have more of them and their deal gets approved a lot faster. And a lot of the time they require a lot less information than a bank requires too.
Yeah.
It's easier to qualify.
Yeah. Anytime I get conventional loans, I have a broker. I don't go straight to one bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just way easier.
It is because they have different options and they can take it down on their line and figure out where they're going to sell to afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah. All my loans are with freaking all these random banks. And I'm like, this one's with Wells. This one's with US Bank. This one's with whatever. No rhyme or reason from my point of view. Mm-hmm. But no, that's cool. I just am always fascinated with how anybody's business works. And, you know, it's cool to see the hard money side and what really goes on behind the scenes. So for anyone listening, right, it's like, if I could break it down very simply, if you're paying 8 to 10% for your hard money loan, which seems high, remember, they're getting their money for 5%, you know, maybe even more sometimes. And, you know, they're making that little baby spread right there, which, you know, once you do $1 billion worth adds up to a lot of money. But initially, it's not crazy, especially starting out. And even the points and stuff really, in my opinion, are there to cover like operating costs and overhead and those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you would be surprised of how much money we don't make off loans because of the staff and all the work on it. And we don't charge even the fees. You know, everybody's like, why are you charging me so many fees? But you got to think a 1 point on $100,000 deal is a lot different than a 1 point on $1 million deal.
Yep.
And we do it all. So we do
the same amount of work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will tell you, unless I'm dealing with people such as yourself, it's actually a lot more work to do the $100,000 deal than it is the $1 million deal.
Why is that?
Because the $1 million deal, usually they know what they're doing.
Right.
They've done it a few times. We have all their paperwork. The $100,000 deal could be a newer borrower, has a lot more questions. We have to hold their hand, hold through it, and we are majority of the time probably losing money on the first few deals. And most lines of credit, again, this is probably different now that we sold again, but most lines of credit have restrictions on new borrowers.
Right.
So you also make a lot less off your money on the new borrowers too as well.
Because you're going to these guys and saying, here's the deal, right? And they're like, oh, well, this guy's new. We're not going to pay as much for it. He's higher risk.
Yeah, so to speak. Yeah. So there's more risk.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned selling. You guys sold 7-8 years ago,
Yep.
and then you recently sold again.
We sold in November.
What was that like?
That was very painless, honestly. I mean, I wasn't involved in a lot of it, but I got told 2 months before we were selling that we're selling. I don't ever count my chickens.
Yeah,
So I
because you had some equity.
I did have some equity in the company. I owned part of the company. I was the owner for like the last 8 years, probably, of me being there. This wasn't our first rodeo.
Yeah, you'd already done it before.
No, we've already gone through this process a couple times before that too, or after that too. So this isn't the first
just
time.
potential buyers.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had no, like I
You're like, if
it
this
wasn't
goes through,
if
like
it goes through, great. If it doesn't, I'm kind of expect the worst, hope for the best kind of deal.
Right.
They came in, and they're a very, very good partner to have. I mean, we're still in the learning stages. We're still crawling, right? We're not running yet.
Who bought?
The company called Per Diem.
Per Diem.
So you're not.
That's a good name.
It is. You're not going to know who they are until I explain who they are, and then you're going to know exactly who they are.
Okay, let's hear it.
So we originally talked about all these hedge funds coming in here and buying all the rentals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They own 70,000 rentals.
Okay.
Okay, they own their own mortgage companies. They are the company, if you saw in the news, that just bought 2,000 Zillow assets when
Okay.
Zillow did that.
All right.
So they are the company that bought their assets when they didn't want them anymore.
Right.
So they love real estate. They want to grow this. They want to be in all arms of at least the residential side, and which is why they acquired us. And they want to grow dramatically and fast.
So obviously these guys are doing huge things. Like, what's in it for them to acquire Anchor? Like, they just want access to more deals. They just see it as a money-making opportunity. Like, what's the big vision behind it?
So I can't really speak about that because I'm not that sure, but I will tell you they want us to grow to a $3 to $5 billion company. So they want to do.
They're going to flip you guys?
They're not. I don't think so. I don't think they have any intentions of flipping us.
Okay.
I think it's good for them. It works with all their other companies. I mean, they have a lending company. They buy rentals. So they want to be all things real estate.
Right.
And I think they looked at a few different companies. I'm not 100% sure on that. And they found that we were the best company
For whatever.
for them. Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting. I was listening to a podcast recently about, getting purchased. And some I've thought about with my businesses. I'm like, okay, how do you make these things sellable, right? People always talk about that. And it was funny. It was one of the things with my house flipping business where people are like, house flipping businesses aren't sellable, right? They're like dependent on you. They borrow money. And I was like, yeah, as I've explored it more and entered different industries, I'm like, I see why house flipping businesses aren't really sellable. It's like you have to borrow all this debt. You got to do all that. Like, a wholesaling company to me would be more sellable because you don't have to take on all that risk. But even that is still iffy.
Yeah, because you're relying on a few people to do all that.
And as I looked at it with other companies, it's like, okay, you see, I have a CPA company. Those sell all the time. You see brokerages. Those sell, right? You see e-commerce. Those companies sell all the time. Education companies even sell all the time. Because as I've gotten into those businesses, I see why they're more desirable to an end buyer. They don't require all of the debt that flipping requires. They don't require typically most people's house flipping businesses are them.
Exactly.
So it's like if they stop
of 4 people or whatever.
Yeah, if they stop working, it's dead. You didn't buy anything. So it's kind of interesting, man. Like, this is what I actually was getting at. So as I thought about it, I started listening to guys talk about it. They're like, yeah, so what private equity wants is something that's, doing over $5 million a year. Like, that's the minimum they're looking for. And what private equity is going to do is buy your company. They're going to scale it to, 3-4x what it is, and then they're going to go and flip it.
Absolutely.
And do it again.
Which is what I think the original buyers
wanted
to do, which is what they did.
Yeah.
So, yes, but I don't think that's exit strategy at all for our new buyers at all. So they just want to grow it and be a huge company
and just keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
So where do you think, I guess for you guys at Anchor, what are you going to do different to hit those goals? I'm curious.
So obviously we're still in the infant stage, right? It's only been 2 months now.
Right.
But I think we already have a rental product coming out, which we didn't have.
That'll be good. That'll be really good.
So, and I think we're going to set up a few more products that I think will be very helpful to investors. even regarding rentals and regarding flips and stuff like that. So the goal is to monetize or make people want to use us and keep them here when they're here. So that's only half of it, right? So we're also going to make sure we have the best technology. So we're going to grow our technology. We're going to do all that. We're going to grow everything inside and outside, so everybody wants to stay here at the same time as well.
Right. So one thing that got me thinking about was I talk about this on YouTube a lot with business. Okay, when you're trying to grow, you can go two different ways. One is to acquire more customers with your same existing products and offerings, or two is to just monetize your current customers better, right? Let's give you this new product with rental programs. Let's give you this new product. Let's add this to the table, right? And now, the value of one client just doubled or tripled. And then boom, your business has doubled or tripled if you can just give them those products. And to me anyways, when you're looking at businesses, it's easier to give your current database products that already trust you and like you and know you than try and acquire new customers.
Well, yes, but there's also the competition.
Right.
Right. So there's that aspect of it. And most of my 85 of our business is returning customers.
Right.
So it's a lot of my business comes from referrals. So the aspect of it is I want to take care of all of my borrowers' needs. So if I don't have a rental product and you started doing rentals, you're going to go to another company. And if that another company also does hard money, which they all do,
right,
and they can offer you something where it makes sense for you to use them on the hard money and the rental company, why wouldn't you want to go there?
Right.
Right. So there's just, yes, we make more money doing rentals, but we also satisfy our borrowers more by having more products to do all of their needs.
Makes sense.
Which is why we have construction lending too at the same time. And we want to have everything related to anything that our borrowers bring us. We want to be able to do for them.
Right. That makes sense. As long as you can keep providing everything, that a customer would want, who's, this profile of customer, someone who fixes and flips homes, they have no reason to look elsewhere. And,
Yeah, because even if somebody comes in and offers them a little less, you're not going to move for a little less if you know you're completely taken care of.
Right. 100%. You don't need to necessarily undercut the competition. And, because I already know, my rates between all them, are, they are what they are. It's not like they can go give me 0% interest. So it's kind of I know where their margins are. Even after today, I know, especially true, we are where we are. And so really at this point, it's about trust, customer service, and that's really it. Simplicity.
Yep.
So
I do think some of our competitors too, there's a chance that they're not even making money.
They're just trying to get acquired.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Which, great if they do, but if they don't,
And that's one way to do it, man. I mean, it's every company has a different agenda, right? If you're trying to make profit, there needs to be room for profit. If you're just okay with losing money and just you have the funds to be able to withstand losses for years like these tech companies have, and your goal is just to get acquired, then hey, if it works out, great.
Yeah. If it doesn't, it's not your money, I guess. So.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, too, once they do get acquired, they'll have to figure out how to become profitable. You can't just run a negative cash flow forever.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting. As far as your career goes, dude, I mean, what piece of advice do you have for somebody that's potentially thinking about getting into the hard money game, working for somebody or, lending in general? Because not many people are in this industry. Nobody's man, I want to go be a hard money lender. Maybe down the road, they're I want to be a private lender and get passive income. But
yeah, I mean, well, one, I guess that all depends who I'm talking to.
Right.
Right. Is it the guy that's starting out fresh, doesn't really have any money in the bank? Or is it the guy that has a lot of money in the bank that wants to do something with his money and doesn't know how to place it?
Right.
So, I mean, I started from nothing. I started from the bottom. I did everything in my power to make sure that I knew every bit of the company and what we did. So for the guys like that, it's everything could be a learning opportunity, and everything is only going to make you better at what you do. So if you go try to get a job at a hard money lending company, go in there not expecting anything but giving it your all, and then that's how you're going to learn. The the people that don't do well with us are the people that go in there that think they know better than everybody else.
Why would these people think that?
Well, it's kind of like the car salesman
Yeah.
coming in the company. Even some other guys in there, it's because they think that they're amazing and they know what they're doing. So they have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove. So they try to go above and beyond instead of just sitting there and learning whatever they did. Or they don't want to learn how to process because they're going to be originating. It's just like, I find that our best originators learned a lot of what the rest of our company did before they actually start originating loans.
Right.
Because you have a better understanding idea. And the best part about that is if I were to call you and you started talking to me about a property, yes, it was already hard enough for me to get a hold of you. But if I was talking to you and you didn't think I knew what I was talking about, you would have never talked to me again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the experience of knowing what I know and being able to do what I do helps with that so much.
Right.
And that's, to me, is the most important thing. And even for flippers, and I still flip homes once in a while. I just bought a house 2 years ago in COVID on the beach, and it's going to be the best flip I've ever done in my life. And I'm not flipping it, but best purchase I've ever made in my life.
How much would you make if you flipped it?
About $2 million.
There we go, baby.
Yeah.
I love that.
About $2 million. I bought it for 1.6 and just appraised for 4.2 million.
Dude, flip it, dude. What are you going to do? You going to keep it?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to live in it? Or
That
what?
was honestly, since I've been 18 years old, that was one of my goals and dreams in life, is to have a beach house.
Yeah.
Yes. And
But are you going to live in it full time or Airbnb it? What would you do?
I'm not going to live in it full time because I have an 8 and 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't think the schools are the greatest down there, but I want to make sure my kids have the best education they have. But eventually, when my kids are out, I would probably live there full time.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
And it's just, I could rent it out Airbnb. And Airbnb, I think a night in the summer, like $2,000 a night.
Yeah.
So
How big is this house?
3,000 square feet
Oh, that's a big beach house.
on the beach.
Yeah.
I bought it for $1.4 million.
Where's this at?
Oxnard.
Okay.
So Oxnard would be,
I know where it is.
yeah, for people that
Yeah.
don't know, it's going to be the first beach pretty much outside of LA County.
Yeah.
So right past Malibu.
Yep.
So, and I actually like it. It's very mellow down there. There's not a bunch. It's not very touristy. I like it a lot.
What do you think about Cali in general? Like, you've been there for a while now. Like, what's up with Cali, dude? Everyone's always mixed.
Well, doing what I do, I try not to get too political.
Like, because I get two sets of people on the show or in general. They're like, freaking, I don't care. I love Cali, even though I hate what's going on. Everybody hates the taxes, and everyone hates all the restriction. But, you know, some people are like, it's okay. It's the price you pay to be on the beach. And then the other people are like, I cannot wait to get out of this place.
So first off, I will say is I've never heard somebody that lives in California call it Cali.
Okay.
Ever. And everybody outside of California calls it Cali. Second, I would say, let's see, I have to be very careful on this because, again,
Hey,
like,
tell them
we
how
have-
you really feel, dude.
we have 200 people working for us. We have a lot of different borrowers.
Yeah.
But I would say the actual where I live, because I live outside of Los Angeles, I love where I live. But if you go in Los Angeles right now, it almost looks like a war zone. Like
Yeah.
every overpass is a landfill. Like people are just throwing trash all over. They're not doing anything to clean it. And with the restriction, it's getting harder and harder to want to raise my kids in that area.
Right.
You know, we live outside of LA, so it's definitely not as bad, but there's not a whole lot of freedom right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I went to school, for those who don't know, at Cal State Northridge, which is very close to LA. And, you know, this was back in 2008 to 2010. And I remember as a Vegas kid, everybody wanted to move to Cali. That was it. Everyone's like, I want to get out of Vegas and go to Cali and the beach. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do it. So I got a scholarship and I went out there for 3 years. And when I was done, I was like, I cannot wait to move back to Vegas. This place is not what people think it is. The weather's great.
That's what everybody says, right? The
Yeah.
weather's great. You cannot beat the weather.
The weather's great. But other than that,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to be in traffic all day. I don't want to pay these taxes. I don't want to deal with all this crap that the restrictions and everything. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah,
And especially it's gotten way worse in the last 2 years, obviously.
Way worse.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much traffic, but everything else has. And it's just, it's beginning to just be, I mean, the traffic alone. But if you visit California, if you go there,
It's fine for a visit.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves it. It's kind of like going to Hawaii.
Yep.
Right? I love going to Hawaii.
Yep.
I would never want to live in Hawaii. Ever.
I actually want my second. So I also want a beach house. You know, when I get as rich as you, I'm gonna buy a beach house. Okay, so because you have a $4 million beach house, dude. So
I got lucky.
so I've thought about owning one either in Cali, just because it's close and easy to get there. I actually told Phil Green, who's probably your best borrower.
He is my best borrower.
He's the man. He's in CG too. And I go, Phil, if you ever get a beach house in San Diego, just let me know. Like, wholesale it to me. I don't care what you make, right? And so he starts telling me about all the different areas, and he's like, you know, you could go to, I forget, Oceanside.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know, it's not that crazy out there in Oceanside. I was like, okay, let me know if you see a beach house in Oceanside. And then I have all my students in Future Flipper. We have so many Hawaiian students in Future Flipper, like, because Vegas is the 9th island, so they love it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, I'll move anywhere in Hawaii. I just need a house on the beach. I want a second house out there. So I got people looking, and I know that eventually one will come. But
San Diego is a great city, still in California. San Diego is amazing.
I love Del Mar.
Yeah, Del Mar is awesome, but still San Diego, right? So it's
Yeah.
still down there. But the thing is my dad lived in Kona, in Hawaii. My sister lived there for a while, and I remember going to visit her for like 3 or 4 weeks. It's like, if you're not retired living there, it is not a fun place to live.
Right.
Right? Everything's extremely expensive. You do all that other stuff, but I feel like I'd get island fever. I want to be able to move or go somewhere and do
Yeah.
stuff and all that stuff. And you're kind of trapped on an island when you do that. Obviously, you can take a plane anywhere.
You know what's funny is I kind of had that foresight when I was 16 years old. I was playing in a baseball tournament, and I remember the University of Hawaii. It was at U of H, and they go to my dad in the stands, and they go, hey, you know, we want to talk to you about Ryan. And they offered me a scholarship when I was like 16 years old, and they said, hey, we want Ryan. You know, what's he think about Hawaii? He's out here. It's beautiful. And my dad told me about the offer, and I was like, I don't know if, like, that's the best thing, because I don't know that my baseball career is going to really go the way I want it to go being on Hawaii. Like, there's not really that many scouts.
Mhm.
I'm going to get lazy. I'm just going to be like some,
Start
you know,
surfing all the
yeah,
time.
some 18-year-old kid, like, just living
Yeah.
it up in Hawaii. And so I remember I was like, you know what? I think I want to be in Cali, like I was telling you about, because I was like, I want you guys to be able to come watch me, and it's super close, and it all worked out the way it was supposed to work out. So, but now I'm like, you know, I think it might not be bad as, like you said, I don't want to live there. I
No.
just want
Yeah.
a second home.
Yeah, you want to be able to visit whenever you want. If you want to rent it out to somebody else when you're not there.
Yeah.
Great. We went back on spring break last year, and it was crazy out there
In Hawaii.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Half of it was still closed.
Yeah.
All the rental cars were gone
Yeah.
because the whole island was closed for almost a year.
Yeah. Yeah. The rental.
It was pretty crazy out there.
We went about 6 months ago to Maui.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was still kind of like that. I've actually been thinking about Mexico as a potential spot for, you know, a beach house, because it's so cheap.
Yeah,
you know,
is.
it's beautiful.
Medley would go in with you on one.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, he wants you.
he wants Mexico.
Absolutely.
What part of Mexico is he like?
I can't even pronounce half the cities. But I know he was really last time, because CG just did that event down there, and they were like, he's like, I want to buy a house out here on the beach, and it is extremely so much cheaper.
Way cheap,
Way
dude.
cheaper.
I was looking at one just for fun. Dude, it was like 9,000 square feet on the beach for like $2 million. I was like,
It's ridiculous.
how cheap? This would be a $20 million house in Cali. Yeah, the prices out there are crazy. I love the food. I love, you know, the house is cool. I'm just like concerned about safety.
Yeah. Anywhere in LA. I mean, you hear stories all the time. People go to the beach, and there's homeless people shooting up on the beach.
Well, yeah, I was
Like-
thinking Mexico,
Oh,
not
Mexico.
LA, but
I
yeah.
was like, yeah, Mexico. I will tell you though, I have never not felt safe when I was there.
Yeah,
Even when I bring my family, I brought my family to the CG thing
yeah,
for a couple days, and
It
did
was
not
fine.
feel, because you're going to be in areas where,
Yeah. I've been in, so I went to Mexico 3 times last year.
yeah,
And I'm actually probably going to book a trip right after this back to there. I just love it, man. But I just don't know how it'd be having a house there. Like the hotels and stuff, cool. Like I get it.
yeah. I've always thought about that too, because technically you can't own land in Mexico.
Really?
You can't own 100%, so you only own a portion of it. And if Mexico really wanted to, I think they can come in and just seize your land if they wanted to. Not that they would ever do that, especially in these huge areas. But I don't think you can own land outright in Mexico.
I also wonder who's lending. Could Anchor give me a loan?
Absolutely not.
Oh, come on, dude.
What are we going to foreclose on a property like that we're never going to see? Yeah,
Yeah, I wonder who lends out there.
it's funny. I've gotten
The cartel.
gotten Canada a couple times, which we do not lend in Canada, and I've also got Puerto Rico.
You don't do Puerto Rico either.
Nope.
Why not? Just it's too much work. It's
I
not-
would say it's
too much
probably
risk.
not. It's too much work for not enough reward.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, we lend in 48 states. And if you ask me, well, why don't you lend in the other 2? It's like, well, because it's South Dakota and Vermont, and you actually have to get licensed in those states, and it's just not enough.
There's not enough
reward
volume.
because
Vegas is like that. You got to have an office out here and all that
Exactly.
stuff.
It makes sense because you're in Vegas.
Yeah, you got all these guys.
You got a lot of inventory. You got a lot of people doing it. I mean, you're one of like
Yeah.
six or 7 of my borrowers.
Right.
But you know, some of these states that require the exact same as Vegas requires. It's like, why would
The
we
juice
ever-
ain't worth the squeeze.
It's definitely not.
Yeah, for sure. Well, dude, man, I think this was super insightful for everybody who may not have understood how hard money actually works. And, you know, if anybody's looking to borrow, I highly recommend Anchor. We'll link to Lance's info down below, and they can hit you up if they got some any deals that they want to do. 48 states, guys. Just if you're in Mexico, you're kind of out of luck.
It's not one of the states either. So
Yeah, you're in Mexico. You can't do it. So borrow from the cartel. But anyways, we'll link to his stuff down below. If you enjoyed this episode, like always, make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.